Good afternoon and welcome to Worship Wednesday. It's another beautiful day here at Forest Grove. My name is Randy Bennett. I'm the Director of Worship here at Forest Grove, and every Wednesday we try to bring you a word about worship. We've been in this John series now for a few weeks. I hope that you are enjoying the series as much as I am if you've been participating with us. But one of the struggles with doing a 12-week series on the book of John is that there's a ton of information in there, and we just can't pack it all in to 12 weeks.
I know when I was putting it together, right, there was like 24 stories I wanted to fit in 12
Right.
weeks, and had to cut half those stories out. But
Right. So I wanted to highlight one of those stories that we're not going to hear about. So this past Sunday, we read from John chapter 3, and we read of that story, that exchange between Nicodemus and Jesus. And this coming Sunday, we're going to be looking ahead into John chapter 6. But there's a piece there that happened at the end of John chapter 3. And this is where some of John's disciples ask, what's going on here? You've been baptizing, and now there's this Jesus guy that's baptizing. What do we do with all this?
Mhm.
And John's response is really interesting. He says, a man can receive only what is given him from heaven. You yourselves can testify that I said, I am not the Christ, but I am sent ahead of him. And at the end of this exchange, he says, he, meaning Jesus, he must increase, and I must decrease. And I thought that was just such a good word for us. We live in this society that tells us that we should work on our personal brand, and that we should, promote ourselves, and we put all this stuff out on social media, and it's just a good reminder that we should be living to promote Jesus and the gospel message in all that we do. So I would encourage you in these in-between times, we're going to look at John chapter 6. So take some time before Sunday and read through John chapters 4 and 5 and see what other interesting information is in there. And I'm going to let Pastor Dan tell us a little bit more about what we're going to be talking about on Sunday.
Yeah, so we're going to jump into chapter 6. And at chapter 6, we hear this story that I'm guessing most of us are familiar with. If you've ever gone to a VBS or a Sunday school, a lot of times you hear about the story of Jesus feeding the 5,000. Now, the story is in the Gospel of John, obviously. It's also in the other Gospels. But we're using this series to look at the Gospel afresh, to hear the story anew. And so what else is going on here? And one of the questions we want to ask ourselves is, what is John's first audience? In the first century, when he's writing this down and he's thinking about his audience, who he's writing to, what are they thinking about? And we also want to ask the question, what was Jesus' audience? As he's speaking to this giant crowd of 5,000 men plus women and children, what was going on in their heads as they're hearing Jesus' teaching?
Right.
And when we enter into that space, I think we start to see some pretty profound things. I don't want to give too much away for Sunday, but one of the things we're going to look at a little bit on Sunday is the fact that when Jesus is doing this teaching, it's taking place over Passover, is what John tells us. And there's something super significant about that if you were one of John's first audience members, or you were listening to it when Jesus was first talking, and you knew that the Passover was taking place at this time, it would have queued up a whole lot of things in your brain about what's going on. And so we're going to look at some of those this Sunday, so we hope you'll join us.
Cool. So a lot to look forward to. Again, I would just encourage you over the next few days to take a look at John chapters 4 and 5. There's some great stuff in there. One of my favorite passages about worship happens in John chapter 4 when Jesus interacts with the Samaritan woman at the well. So I encourage you to read that as well. As we've been doing, we're going to continue with our 2 worship services on Sunday morning, 8:30 and 10:30 a.m. We're going to continue to live stream. If you're unable to be here, if you're not comfortable joining us quite yet, that's okay. We're going to keep putting those videos out on Facebook and YouTube, and we would love to have you join us, whether you're going to be here with us in person or whether you're watching at home. So enjoy the rest of your week, and we look forward to worshiping together on Sunday. Blessings.
Bye now.